Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series on VLSI design. In the previous lectures, we had discussed on gate logic and then switch logic and then different types of CMOS logics like pseudo NMOS logic and then dominoes logic and then dynamic logic. So actually each logic was having its certain drawbacks, and then in order to overcome that drawback they had introduced a new set of logic, right? So that we had discussed in the previous class. Okay, in the today's lecture we shall look into the structure design. Okay, how can we take use of those particular logics which we have studied in the previous lecture. By making use of those particular logics, how can we overcome with uh, a structured way of design. If I'm suppose if I am designing something, how can I come up with a smaller area with less number of transistors and with a proper output? How can we do that particular type of thing? That we are going to look by taking some of the examples. Okay, so the examples what we are going to take, that is going to be a parity generator and a multiplexer. Before moving on to the actual uh, in terms of parity generator and multiplexer, let us recap our design methodology things, like how actually we can go in terms of structure design. So as we know that there are basically two different types of approaches. One is top down approach and one more is bottom up approach. Okay, now if you look at the top down approach, what actually we will be thinking. So once the customer comes and gives us the specification, we are going to come up with a complex design. The complex design is going to be divided into a sub module, and that sub module is going to be further, if it is going to be divided into a one more sub module, then that is okay. And if until we get what, until we get a leaf cell, basically these leaf cells will be in terms of what, it will be in terms of the logic gates what we are having. Okay, so these will be these logic gates. From logic gates we are going to derive our sub modules. We are going to integrate these logic gates in order to come up with this sub module, and then from sub module we are going to integrate those things, and then we are going to come up with the main module. But in top down approach, the first thing what we are going to design is going to be main module. Based on the complexity of this main module or top module, we are going to divide, we are going to come up with these sub modules, and then from sub modules we are going to come up with these leaf cells. Okay, the vice versa of this particular approach is what, it is our bottom up approach. Okay, now in bottom up approach we are going to start from the bottom. So first we are going to check in terms of whether what type of logic gates which are available in our library. So making use of those leaf cells, we are going to come up with the design of sub module, and from sub module, by taking some more sub modules and then by integrating those sub modules, we are going to come up with the main module. So this way of approach, the top down approach and the bottom up approach, these are actually what, these are actually our a structured way of designing any material. Okay, now let us take a look at our parity generator. Okay, so basically we are having, so basically we need to design n plus 1 bit parity generator. So in both of the examples what we are going to have, we are going to use the top down approach. Okay, so we'll be having a complex design. We are going to divide that complex design into sub modules. From sub modules we are going to make use of the leaf cells. Okay, so based on that we are going to come up with the how to integrate all those things, and then we are going to come up with this black box. Okay, so here we are going to design an n plus bit parity generator. So as we know, parity generator is nothing but it is going to count number of ones in our uh, the bit number what we are going to use. Okay, suppose if we are the input can be a 4-bit number, or the input can be an 8-bit number, or it can be a 16-bit number, or it can be a 32-bit number. So based on that, it is going to count the number of ones, and it is going to count only the number of ones. Okay, so here you can observe, here we are having these a is a0, a1, a2 till an minus 1 to an. So this is the number of inputs what we are giving. It is going to be what? It is going to be a n bit number. Okay, the output is what? The output is p, and then the negation of p is nothing but it is p bar. Okay, so the output p is going to be 1 when there are even number of ones at the input. Okay, so it is going to be 0 when there are odd number of ones at the input. If you can look at this example over here, now if you look at this particular example, let us consider that our 8-bit number what we are having, it is something like this: 0110 0110. Okay, so now if you look at the count of number of ones, so it is not going to count the parity bit generator, it is not going to count the number of zeros, it is going to count only the number of ones. Okay, so based on the count, whether it is even or whether it is odd, based on that this parity is going to be generated. So where actually these parity generators are used, these parity generators are basically used whenever we are trying to communicate. Okay, whenever there is a communication between one module to another module. In terms of hardware, we are having different types of protocols like UART protocol, we are having RS-232. All these protocols, they are going to use what they are going to use, like at the end of the thing they are going to use this CRC bit, something like that, where actually this parity is going to be used. Okay, now let us come back to this example. So as we said, it is going to count number of ones, whether if it is even it is going to be 1, or if it is odd it is going to be 0. Now if you look at this particular, here we have the total number of ones in this particular 8-bit number is 4, where 4 is an even number. Then the output parity generator what we are having, that p will be equal to what? It is going to be 1. In the similar way, if we look at this particular example, the same 8-bit number, but the number of ones in this particular bit, okay, in this particular input is what? It is totally 5, where 5 is an odd number, so the p will be 0. Okay, so this is actually what actually need to be done. So we don't know what actually is present inside this particular block. Okay, so we need to define this block, and then we need to come up with a design where actually it takes a very less number of transistors, and then it has to be very, the output should be very clear, and then the area required should be very much less. Okay, so now how can we do that particular thing that we are going to discuss. So it is clear that for an n-bit number, if it is p will be generated 1 if even number of ones at this particular input, and then it is going to be 0 if number of ones are odd at input. So now let us look at this particular scenario. As we had said, for an n-bit number, the parity generator for an n-bit input, the parity generator what we have designed, if you look at this, this is going to be what? This is going to be n plus 1 bit parity generator. Okay, so one block extra we are having. So why actually we are using that one block is that, so here let us have a look at this thing. So I have cascaded different parity bit generators. Okay, so here let us consider this input. Okay, so let us take our input should be to be 0 1 and then 0 1. So as of now, by looking at this particular number, we can say that the number of ones at this particular input is what? It is going to be even. So my p output what I am going to have, it is going to be what? It is going to be 1. Okay, so here if you look at this particular symbol, okay, so this is actually p plus 2, this is actually what? This is actually my output p, and this is going to be my p bar for this particular scenario. Okay, so this is what, since it is a 4-bit number, okay, Now let us look at the thing. Now here 0 1 0 1. Okay, let me take, this is what, this is 0th bit, this is 0th bit, this is first bit, this is second bit, so this is third bit. Okay, now if this ai plus 2, in the sense what, it is going to be what, it is going to be 3. So this is going to be what, here I am going to have this 0, here I am going to have this 1, and then again 0 and then 1. Now if you look at the scenarios over here, I'll give these inputs in such a fashion, and the input p in what I'm having, let us consider that the previous input, or the at default state or a reset state what we are having, since reset in the sense the number of ones should be equal to, it is even 0, if it is number of ones is 0, even 0 we call it as what, we call it as even, in terms of even, right? So that is why this one is given as an initial condition. Okay, now if you look at this particular input what we are having over here, this is what, this is 0, so there is no input 1. Okay, so whenever there is an input 1, I need to count, right? So since there is no input 1, so I should not count. So what I will do, I'll make my p out should be same as p in. Okay, now if the input is 1, what I will do, the p output what I will be having, I will be going to what, I am going to interchange. Now see, initially I had what, I had only count 0, that is even, so there is no change, because even the out after this particular output bit, even my input is what, there are 0 number of ones, so my p in should be 1. Now after this particular input, I am having a count 1 which is odd, my p should be what, it should be 0, so I have negated this. Okay, so when actually we are going to negate, so whenever there is 1 at the input, okay, so whenever there is 1 at the input, I am going to negate this particular p in what I am getting, so p out will be negation of p in. Okay, in the similar way, if you observe this, here we are having 0, so same this thing is going to be followed. Okay, so p out will be same as p in, and again we are having 1 over here, so it is going to be negation. So now if we look at this particular input, we are having even number of inputs, that's why my p is what, my p is 1 over here, and then my p bar is 0. Okay, now if we look at one more scenario, that is with a different, the odd number of ones. So as we know that we are having 0 1 1 and then 1 we are giving as an input, my initial condition is going to be what, it is going to be 1 and then 0. Now since 0 is there, so I'm not going to negate, so I'll be getting 1 and then 0 over here, and then I'm having 1 over here, so my output is going to be negated, so I'll be getting 0 and then 1. Again I'm getting 1 at the input over here, so I'll be getting 1 and then 0. Again I'm getting 1 at the input, so I'll be getting what, I'll be getting 0 and 1. So by this serial blocks what I'm having, I'm able to get, I'm able to generate this p. If if number of ones is odd, I can able to generate my output p is equal to 0. If my number of ones at the input is even, I am able to generate p is equal to 1. So actually from that black box in the sense that top module, I have divided these in terms of sub modules, and then by I have to take out a leaf cell. Okay, so I need to design this particular 1 bit block to overcome with what, in order to overcome with the in terms of gates. Okay, so let us take this one block what actually we are having. So this block is doing what, So this block, it is going to consider this input, okay, and then based on the input value what I'm having, it is going to generate this particular output, whether it should be 1 or 0. Okay, so similarly what we can tell is that I can tell that if my input is 1, my parity is going to be changed, that my output parity is going to be changed, that is nothing but pi is equal to negation of pi minus 1. If my this thing is 0, my input bit is 0, then parity is going to be unchanged. What I can tell is this pi, it is going to be same as what? It is going to be same as my pi minus 1. Okay, and in the similar way, what I can come up with this thing is that, now if you look at this, what we can come up is that I can tell p is equal to what? I can tell p is equal to ai into pi minus 1. Okay, so that is going to be ai into uh, pi minus 1 bar. Okay, let me take bar as this thing, plus, and then or let me take in terms of this, let me remove this. Okay, let me remove this. What I can tell is that p is going to be, okay, so it is going to be ai, the final equation I'm typing, ai into pi minus 1 bar plus, it is going to be what? Ai bar into pi minus 1. So there will be an what? There will be an XOR operation, because since it is going to dependent on the input what we are having, that it is totally dependent on what? It is totally dependent, this thing is dependent on this particular ai pin and then this particular pi minus 1 pin. So based on these input values, we are going to generate these particular blocks, and that final Boolean equation what we can come up is, we can come up with this thing. Okay, so this is how it is going to be done. So finally what we can tell is that we are having in terms of ai XOR pi minus 1, we can have in terms of pi. Okay, so what type of logic we need to generate so that I can have as we know, we have generated this particular leaf cell. So leaf cell is going to be what? It is going to be an XOR gate. Okay, so based on that, we can go for different types of logics. If I go for CMOS logic, okay, let me draw the schematic over here. If you take a look at this thing, as we know, we are having what? It is going to be a XOR gate, right? So XOR gate, in the sense, what actually we'll be having, this particular, our NMOS will be in series and then PMOS will be in parallel. So this thing here, you can observe these particular things are in series, two inputs, and then again here we'll be having plus, that's why it is going to be parallel. Here again this is going to be parallel input, so it is going to be what? This is going to be what? This is going to be into cross symbol, that's why it is in terms of parallel, and then this is what? This is our plus symbol, that's why these two blocks are in series. So this is going to be what? This is going to be my pi, so that is, I am not pi bar what I am having over here. This is going to be pi bar, but actually I was interested in pi, so I'll be needing what? I'll be needing one inverter over here. Now if you look at the CMOS logic design, if you look at the, let us count the number of transistors over here. Okay, now if you look at this, 2 plus 2 4, 4 plus 4 8, 8 plus 2 10. So the total number of transistors required for one single particular bit operation, the number of transistors required are what? The number of transistors required are 10. Okay, so this is for regarding what? This is regarding my CMOS logic, and the similar layout you can observe over here. Okay, this in terms of stick diagram they have represented. Here you can observe the uh, demarcation line. So this above demarcation line we can call it as pull up region, and then this is going to be pull down region. Here you can observe these particular transistors are in series. Again, these particular transistors are series, and both of them have been connected in parallel. So this block you can observe it as what it is going to be, what it is going to be an inverter. Okay, so that you can observe. Now let us look at since the number of transistors are more, the area might be more. So let us move in terms of different logic. So let us go in terms of NMOS logic. Okay, so by going in terms of NMOS logic, what I can have is that I can come up with a very less number of transistors over here. Okay, there actually we were having what we were having totally 10, but here the number of transistors can be reduced to what, to number 7. So I have reduced the transistor size to be in terms of 3. But the problem again here what we need to maintain is that we need to maintain these particular things, our pull up to pull down ratio, as we this was the drawback what actually we are having. So in this why actually the pull up and then pull down regions we had studied in a gate logic class. Okay, so again we need to maintain our pull up and then pull down region. So this is one more way of uh, representing our logic, and the same stick diagram you can observe over here. Okay, so this is our depletion mode, NMOS transistor. Again here depletion mode, and then these two are connected in series and parallel this thing, and again the transistors are connected in series, and this is going to be one more transistor where this part what I'm actually having over here. Okay, so from this what we can observe that if I take in terms of what actually we are going to do is uh, from parity generator, what we can observe is that from an n plus 1 bit for an n bit parity we are going to generate an n plus 1 parity bit generator. So that plus 1 what actually why actually we are having that plus 1 is actually meant for the previous logic, that is p in, that is pi minus 1. Okay, so for that particular thing what actually we will be using, based on that particular pi minus 1 input we are going to generate our output pi. So if input bit ai is 0, then there won't be any change. If it is going to be 1, then there my pi will be negation of my pi minus 1 bar. So based on that we had defined what will be the logic gates, and based on the logic gates we had looked at two different things, that is our CMOS logic and then NMOS logic. So we by observing CMOS logic we have come up with totally 10 number of transistors, and by using my NMOS logic I can be able to reduce some of the uh, transistors, that is totally 3 number in terms of thing. But it is better to, even though the number of transistors are more in CMOS, it is better to go with the CMOS logic itself, because if we go for NMOS logic, again there is a problem with what we are having a problem with the ratios we need to maintain, like pull up to pull down region ratio we need to maintain. Okay, so if you look at only the NMOS particular thing, my pull up is with the 4:1, but whereas my pull down I'm having two different things. One different ratio is in terms of 1:2, and then one more ratio was in terms of 1:1. Okay, so that is why again in terms of this thing, if we calculate again my NMOS logic also, it is going to take some more area when it is compared to CMOS, so it is better to go for what it is going to be CMOS logic. Okay, so let us look at the multiplexers what we are having. So as we know, multiplexers, it is usually called as mux. Okay, so here basically we are going to define our multiplexer. What it is going to do, it is going to, based on the select lines what we are having, so the input what we are able to give at the select line, based on the select line it is going to select which input should be selected at the output end. Okay, so here basically we are going to design our 4:1 mux. So again we are approaching in terms of our top down approach. Okay, so if you look at top down approach, if I am going to design 4:1 mux, so I'll be designing in terms of 2:1 mux. So first from 2:1 mux we can come up with the logic gates. So from the logic gates we are going to come up with the 2:1 mux, and from 2:1 mux we are going to come up with the 4:1 mux, and then we will discuss some of the uh, logics what we are have, which are available over here, where we can come up with a less number of transistors. So before going to 4:1 mux, I need to design my 2:1 mux. Okay. So if we are going to design 2:1 mux, you can observe the symbol over here for a 2:1 mux. We are having one select line, two inputs D0 and then D1, and there will be output Y. Now if you look at the truth table, so basically when S is equal to 0, whatever may be the input end at the D1, okay, either it may be a 0 or it may be 1, only my D0 output will be selected. Okay, so based on if you look at in terms of this thing, whenever there is a 0, my D0 will be selected at the output end. Okay, whenever there is 1, so select line 1, then my D1 is going to be selected. Okay, so based on these inputs, it is going to be selected in terms of that. Okay, based on this truth table, what we can observe is that I can derive an Boolean expression for my output Y. So that Boolean expression is going to be what it is going to be: Y is equal to S into D1 plus S bar into D0. So that means whenever there is my S is high, at that time D1 is going to be selected, or whenever S is 0, at that time D0 is going to be selected. So based on this Boolean expression, we can come up with what? We can come up with our logic gates. Based on logic gates, we can derive our layouts, stick diagrams and all those things. Okay, now if you look at this, this is actually the based on the Boolean expression, this is actually our in terms of gates connection. Okay, so these are the two inputs D0 and then D1, my select line yes, and then based on that we have come up with the circuit over here. Now if you look at this, as we have seen, like how many transistors are required in terms of this thing. Now if you look at this, inverter requires 2 number of transistors, and then my AND gate requires 6, because the pull up and then pull down region of NAND gate itself requires 4 number of transistors. Since it is an AND gate, I need to add one more inverter to that particular NAND gate, and then I need to come up with the AND. So 4 plus 2, that will be what? That way is going to be 6. So here this particular gate requires 6, this is going to be 2, and then this is going to be 2, and then this is going to be what? It is going to be 6. Now if you look at this, the total number of transistors for only 2:1 mux, it is going to be what? It is going to be 20 transistors. Okay, so this 20 transistors is based on what? It is going to be based on my CMOS logic. Okay, now I can have we have studied this pass transistor logic and then transmission gate logic. If you look at the pass transistor logic, I can, if you look at this, the working of this, see, whenever S is 0, at that time what? This is going to be selected, because S bar, so this input is going to be 1 and this input is going to be 0. Okay, so this particular transistor is going to be on, so my Y will be what? My Y will be my D0, because this is going to be an open switch. When SY is 1, at that time this particular transistor is in off mode, and then this particular transistor is in on mode. So this is going to be a closed switch and this is going to be an open switch. So my Y will be D1. Okay, from 20 transistors which we have seen in the previous this thing, we have come up with what? We have come up with only 2 transistors. But again, we had a drawback of using pass transistor logic, because it is not going to the because our output VOH and VOL, it is not going to be same. It is going to be a degraded output. What because of that drawback, that is the drawback what actually we are having in terms of pass. Okay, so this output, what actually, if here I'm having 5 volt, the output at the Y end, it is going to be what? It is going to be a 4.2 volt or 4.3 volt, where from 5 it has been degraded to what? It has been degraded into 4.3 volts. So this is not, even though the number of transistors are less, but it is still not recommendable design, because the output is getting degraded, output is not restoring. Okay, for that reason, what we can do, we can go for our transmission gate logic. So here this is the transmission gate logic. Here you can observe one transmission gate over here, and one more transmission gate you can observe over here. Okay, now based on the input, our D0 and then D1 lines are going to be selected. If my input, if you let us take our S is 0, S is 0 in the sense this is going to be 1, so this particular transistor is going to be off, and then this particular transistor is going to be off. And then here you can observe, based on the S, since my S is 1, I can observe this particular switch is going to be selected. So based on this switch, my Y is going to be what? It is going to be 0. And then in the similar way, my D1 is going to be selected whenever my S is 1. Okay, uh, so here even though the number of transistors are 4, but still the number of transistors are very less when it is compared with the normal CMOS logic, where in CMOS logic we were actually had 20 number of transistors, but in pass transistor we it got reduced to 2. But since the output is degraded output, I can go for my transmission gate where the number of transistors are only 4. Even this is going to be a better design in terms of what 2:1 max. Now based on this 2:1 max, we need to come up with what? We need to come up with our 4:1 max. So ultimately we are going to design a 4:1 max. Now if you look at this thing based on the truth table, we can have our output Y to be D0, D1, D2, D3. So based on my select lines S1 and then S0. So if you look at the output equation, Boolean equation, so it is going to be what? It is going to be S1 bar S0 bar D0 plus S1 bar S0 D1 plus S1 S0 bar D2 plus S1 S0 D3. So if you look at this particular equation, let us again try to draw the in terms of gates. Let us go in terms of CMOS logic. Okay, if you go in terms of CMOS logic, let us draw these gates. So this is going to be the circuit. Here for an inverter I need to have 2 plus 2. For all these gates, since AND gates it is going to be 6, and then OR gate it is going to be 6. Okay, sorry, this is not going to be 6 since the number of inputs are 4. 2 into, so it is going to be 8 plus 2 10. So this is going to be 10. 30 plus 10, it is going to be 40. So the number of transistors, it is not actually 34, it is going to be a 44 number of transistors. Actually I had taken this in terms of this particular thing, I had taken it in terms of only what I had considered it in terms of only a 2 input and OR gate, but actually it is a 4 input OR gate, so the number of transistors is going to be increased. So here this particular OR gate, it is going to take totally 10 number of transistors. So 10 plus 24, it is going to be 34, and then plus 2, so it is going to plus 4. 34 plus 4, it is 44 plus 4, it is going to be 34 plus 4 actually 24, 10, 34 plus 4, it is going to be 38. Okay, So the total number of transistors for this particular design is going to be 38 number of transistors for, if I go in my conventional way of going in terms of what? In terms of my CMOS logic. Okay. Now, if I take in terms of my top down approach, okay, so this is going to be 4:1 mux. This 4:1 mux, I'm going to derive this 4:1 mux in terms of 2:1 mux. Okay, so this is the circuit if I am going to consider in terms of 2:1 mux, and 2:1 mux we had already designed in our previous slides. Like if I go in terms of pass transistor, I'll be requiring two number of transistors. So if I go in terms of uh, transmission gate logic, then I'll be requiring four number of transistors for my 2:1 mux. Now if you look at this, if I take in terms of pass transistors, it is going to be what? It is going to be 8 number of transistors which are required. Again the same problem, output is going to be degraded. So it is not highly recommended to go for pass transistor logic. Again, if we go for even though number of transistors are very much less, okay, it is better to go for what? Transmission gate. As you can see over here in the previous slide, here we can observe that there is going to be a 2:1 mux over here, and then one more 2:1 mux which are connected in series, and these outputs have been connected to one more 2:1 mux. As we know, 2:1 mux, the total number of transmission gates is 2, and the number of transistor required for 2 number of transmission gates, it is going to be 4. The same thing you can observe over here in this. So this is one 2:1 mux transmission gate logic what we had derived, and this is going to be one more transmission gate logic what actually we had derived in the previous slide. Okay, so here if we observe this, if you observe this particular thing, so this much part what we are having, it is what? It is going to be a 2:1 mux. Okay, so this is one, and then this is one more transmission gate what actually we are having. Okay, and then this is going to be one more transmission gate what actually we are having. So we are combining this transmission gate, or we are combining these 2:1 mux in order to come up with what? 4:1 mux. And in the similar way, if you look at the number of transistors required are only 12 number of transistors. So for only 4 number of transistors have been increased in terms of pass transistor logic, and even that is also a good result. If we are comparing in terms of CMOS logic, where actually we were having, we ended up in terms of 38 transistors, but by going in terms of transmission gate logic, we can cover up this whole these things into 12 number of transistors. Okay, so this is what, by based on these things, what we can tell is that our transmission, our structure design is nothing but from top down approach, or from the complex design, we need to come up with a, we need to divide that particular design into sub modules in order to come up with what? In order to come up with a leaf cell, and that leaf cell is going to be what? That leaf cell we are going to derive based on the different logics what we are having with a very less number of gates. So that is why we had not directly jumped into transmission gate logic or pass transistor. So that comparison we have given in order to why actually we went for transmission gate. Okay, so this is how actually the uh, structure design is being done. So we are going to end up structure design in the sense what we are going to, as a VLSI engineer, we need to do, we need to consider three things. One is area, and one more is speed, and one more is power. Okay, from this point of view, we have reduced what we have reduced the number of transistors. When the number of transistors are reduced, at that time the number of the area required will be reduced. When the area required is reduced, at that time when the number of transistors are reduced, the power is going to be reduced. And if the number of transistors are less, switching is going to be faster, then the speed is going to be increased. Okay, this is what the concept is, structure design. So in the next class, let us look in terms of new topic, that is FPGA based systems. So let us look in terms of what is FPGA, how these FPGAs are being formed, and all those things let us see in the next class. Thank you.